Okay, better. So we'll start with the applications of biotechnology. Now, see, usually they ask again 2 to 3 questions from this chapter also. When they usually are asking generally direct questions from this. So combinedly 11th and 12th chapter will give us 6 to 7 questions. Normally they ask 3-4 questions from 11th chapter, 2-3 questions from this chapter. So this is about the application. The application of biotechnology is mainly in therapeutics, that is in treatment, in diagnostics, in genetically modified crop production. Okay, then there is processed foods and bioremediation. Bioremediation means treating or removing pollutants from soil or water by using bacteria or by using genetically engineered microbes or any sort of living organisms in wastewater treatment and in energy production. So the research areas of biotechnologies are mainly this one, that is either to provide the best catalyst or pure enzyme from any of the microbe, to create the optimum condition where the catalyst connect, and downstream, as we talked about yesterday, to purify the protein and organic compounds. Okay, that is what you obtain from the bacteria. So the ultimate purpose of the RDNA technology is to produce proteins or enzymes inside the bacteria, and then you have to ultimately extract those compounds. That is what we cover in the downstream. So first we are talking about the applications in agriculture. Okay, so this biotechnology mainly deals with the genetically engineered crop-based agriculture. So if you know about Green Revolution, okay, Green Revolution, Norman Borlaug was the founding father of the Green Revolution, and it was given in the chapter number 9, if you know. So that was basically to increase the food supply. So even it was not enough to feed the entire human population of the earth. So in that case, we needed much better improved crop varieties, because the land mass is small and the human beings, the population is increasing day by day of the world. So that was not enough to solve the issue of food supply. So that's why pesticides and agrochemicals can be used. Okay. Now, agrochemicals, pesticides are okay, but then they are also harmful. Now it has been found that they're also carcinogenic and all. They can also increase in sand salinity, or so the soil salinity rather. So in that case, GMO have been developed, that is genetically modified organisms. So in GMO plants, bacteria, fungi, and animals, okay, any of those genes which are useful are transferred to the plants. So whatever desired genes are there in any of these organisms, okay, it has been transferred to the plants, and then we have referred them as GMO. So genetic modification is done for what purpose? It can make crops more tolerant to abiotic stresses. It can reduce reliance on chemical pesticides. Okay. It can reduce post-harvest losses. That means it can increase the shelf life. It can increase efficiency of mineral usage by plants, and it can enhance nutritional value of food. Like golden rice have vitamin A in that. This question was asked in last year's good set. Okay, that genetically modified organisms can be for. Then you have to know about these 5 options. Either it is to make them resistant to the cold conditions, saline condition, heat or drought conditions, or to make them pest resistant, or to reduce the post-harvest losses, that is to increase the shelf life, mainly in case of fruits that is being preferred, to increase the efficiency of mineral usage by plants, and to increase the nutritional value of the food. Also, they are used to form starches and some of the biofuel you can produce from some of the plants when all and pharmaceuticals. Okay, so informative, you'll get an idea, but these 4-5 points are important. Now we're talking about the genetically modified plant crops. That is BT cotton is there, BT corn, rice, tomato, potato, soybean. There's also BT brinjal. So we have in our syllabus example of the BT cotton. Okay, so now pay your attention. It is important, and there are so many questions. It is basically from textbook, but generally they're always asking questions from this part. So see, basically, this Bacillus thuringiensis is a bacteria, and it can produce certain proteins which can kill insects. Okay, it can kill insects which belongs to the, like, especially like this birdworm, armyworm, beetles, and like flies and mosquitoes. So bacteria naturally a toxin જે છે produce કે proteins બનાવે છે કે જે આના માટે lethal છે. Okay, so what we can do is કે જે cotton plant પર આ બધા જે insects છે, cotton કપાસ છે ને કે cotton એના પર એનો બહુ જ issue છે. So we can transfer this gene, and if this protein, if it is eaten by these insects, then they will die. So it only forms this protein during its particular phase of growth, and it contains a insecticidal protein. Okay. Now this is inside the BT in these bacteria. It is in inactive form, so it is not harmful for bacteria itself. And the inactive form is termed as prototoxin. The inactive form is termed as prototoxin. That is what we call as BT toxin. But when the insects can eat this, okay, it is converted into active form. Why? Because it needs alkaline pH to get activated. And insects, in the stomach of the insects or in the gut of the insects, they have alkaline pH. Okay. So it will solubilize the crystals, and this toxin can bind to the epithelial cells of the midgut of the insect. And eventually, it will create pores. Okay. So there will be pores in the epithelial cells. So through these pores, the water can enter. The water keeps on entering, the cell will increase in size, and ultimately it will burst. There is cell like swelling, laxes, and eventually it will cause the death of the insect. So if you transfer this gene in the cotton, then you can protect cotton from the harmful effects of these insects. And that's why BT cotton was created. So by using biotechnology, what was done that these genes which codes for this protein were isolated from this Bacillus thuringiensis. Okay, and it was then transferred into cotton. Then we have the BT cotton. If the same thing was done in brinjal, we call it BT brinjal. Okay. So the choice of gene depends on the crop and targeted pest. Okay, and these are specific. The toxin, so there is a gene, there are two genes, that is CRY1AC, and then there are other genes that is what we call as CRY1AB and CRY2AB. CRY stands for crystal. As this protein is crystallized form, it is in crystallized form, we refer to as crystal. Okay, CRY stands for crystal. So CRY1AC codes for the crystal protein of CRY protein. Okay. Similarly, this CRY1AC and CRY2AB can also code the protein which can control cotton bollworms, and 1AB controls the corn borer. So they may ask that 1AC and 2AB product can control what we call as cotton bollworms, and 1AB can control corn borer. Okay. So these two paragraphs are very much important, Rahi. They're directly asking questions from this. Like the first question they ask is, BT toxin is effective against which insects? Second is, what are prototoxins? Okay. Then third question is where it will bind in the gut of the insects. It is in the epithelial cells. And its mode of action is by lysis. Then the next is about the genes responsible for this. That is this CRY1AC, CRY1AB, and CRY2AB. So there are three genes responsible for this. Okay. Now, if you have any problems in this BT cotton, then please ask. Otherwise, this is enough. Okay. Amati, just it is textbook based only.
No, sir.
This is very important. So make sure you read it properly. This is destroyed by bollworms, and this is normal cotton. This is what we call as BT cotton. In 2013, India also had their also BT brinjal. They're thinking to bring BT brinjal because BT brinjal also has same issue, ringnama. but it was banned because it has no as such harmful effect on humans. But if we eat and then if it leads to, because cotton is not supposed to be eaten, and if it has been engineered in some of the crops which we eat, it will be very harmful. Now, this is very important. Next is about the RNA interference or antisense RNA. Okay, so let me explain it by myself. Okay, આ ચેપ્ટર originally આજ લોકોને ના સમજાતું. It is, so let me just explain. Okay, so see, generally this is RNA interference or RNA. This what we call as the, for pest control. It was first used in the case of the tobacco plant. It is an interesting technique. So mainly what happens that there is a nematode. There is a nematode, and the name nematode means, as you know, it is sort of a worm. Okay, just like there's tapeworms and roundworms. So the name is okay, Maloidigene incognitia. The name is Maloidigene incognitia. Okay, so this mainly infects the roots of the plants. And it causes reduction in yield of the tobacco. So this is the first question which they may ask about the name of this nematode. Okay, so for this control, for the control of this bed, there was the technique referred as RNAi, or what we call as I stands for interference, or what we call as RNA interference was developed. Okay. So basically, this technique is also called as gene silencing technique. It is also termed as gene silencing technique. Why? So let's say if you have a DNA, okay, let's say this is coding and templates, and now you have mRNA being formed from this. Okay, the mRNA માંથી the protein બનશે ને. But what do? We make another complementary mRNA. It joins to this RNA. This mRNA becomes double stranded, and that's why there will be no protein formation. Double stranded mRNA માંથી the protein બનશે ને. So this is destroyed. this mRNA is destroyed. So this gene which codes for mRNA is silenced as mRNA is rendered inactive. So this gene can be said there is no transcription or there is no translation. This gene is silenced. So that's why this is referred as gene silencing technique. चलो बेटा, RNA interference में we use this technique. खबर पड़ी कि नहीं?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it is also naturally seen in our body. Okay, so many eukaryotes we have natural this is a cellular defense mechanism against some of the viral infection and some of the okay. So over here the mRNA is silent by binding of the double-stranded RNA or formation double-stranded RNA. Okay, it stops the translation. So what was done in this case was there was agrobacterium vectors were used. Okay, there was use of agrobacterium vectors. Okay, so if you know about the last chapter, we discussed about the agrobacterium tumefaciens. It is a vector for plant. As you know, it has Ti plasmid. If you remember, it has a Ti plasmid. There was this tDNA region. Okay, there was oocyte. There was this and there's the virulent site. याद आयु last chapter में बात करी थी.
Yes, sir.
So what was done was this part was removed. Okay, and in this agrobacterium, this is what we call as Ti plasmid. In this Ti plasmid, everything else was kept same. In the tDNA region, there was introduction of the DNA that it can produce 2 RNA. So 2 such DNA sequences were introduced. So from this DNA sequences, separate RNA can be formed. Okay, and this was complementary. તો સી અહીંયા ડીએનએ માંથી હું આમાંથી જે mRNA બનાવું ને આમાંથી બનાવું તો બંને કોમ્પ્લિમેન્ટરી થાય ને બેટા. આમાંથી જો mRNA બને અને આમાંથી બને તો this mRNA and this one will be complementary because it is made from the both the strands of the DNA.
Yes, sir.
Let's say અહીંયા it is ATCGA. This mRNA will contain UCGAU. Okay, corresponding DNA will be T, C, G, A, and T. Now the mRNA which will be formed from this one will be mainly, it will be what A, it will be A, U, C, G, A. So see, this A can join with this U, no? This G can join with this C. These are complementary, no? As you can see.
Yes, sir.
So same thing was used over here. So they have added such DNA that it can produce 2 RNA. Okay, everything else was same in the vector. So these 2 RNA were complementary. So it was referred as sense and antisense RNA. These are complementary, so it was referred as, one of them was referred as sense RNA, other was referred as antisense RNA. Okay. So what will happen once we transfer this DNA, 2 DNA contain this vector or plasmid, Ti plasmid in the Mallodigine incognitia? What will happen? The RNA will be formed. So two complementary RNA will be formed. So what will happen now? These are complementary, so this will lead to formation of double-stranded RNA. Okay, double-stranded RNA is formed. So ultimately, what will happen? That RNA interference, as we can call it, it will silence the specific mRNA of nematode. એટલે શું થશે બેટા, જે RNA જે હશે ને, this will bind to the mRNA of this nematode or of melodygen. એટલે શું થશે, as it will bind to it, this mRNA will be silenced, it will be inactive. Okay, so parasite cannot survive. And a protein sir nahi bana, so it will die. And plant will be disease free. And plant will be disease free. બીજા enzymes ને ઘણું બધું use થાય, but here it is not mentioned in your syllabus. Ideally, basically we have here sense and antisense word એ કેવું છે કે sense is for one of the strands of the RNA, which is functional codons. And antisense જે બીજો strand જે બનશે એ complementary હશે, not functional. Okay. Complementary to sense RNA. And both of these RNA will combine and form what we call as double-stranded RNA. Okay. It has then it has been cleaved using some of the enzymes. Okay, and then this will produce what we call a small interfering RNA, siRNA. And this can bind to mRNA of nematode. This can bind to mRNA of nematode. Ideally, and then you can have transgenic plants. And ultimately, the tobacco plant will be free from these nematodes. So this is RNA interference, antisense RNA. It is very important for questions in NEET. Okay, beta, shall I go?
sir.
Now from textbook, from this part, just explain with it some of the things. Okay, so textbook માં content છે ને direct ના ખ્યાલ એટલા માટે મેં મારી રીતે કરાવ્યું પેલા. So as you know, the name is Maliodigine incognitia. It infects roots that you should know. Okay, so this RNA interference is naturally found in eukaryotes. Okay, as a method of defense or as a function of the cellular defense. So it silences certain mRNA of viruses and bacteria by complementary double-stranded RNA to prevent the translation. So this method is also, as I have told you, it is also termed as the gene silencing technique. Okay, protein नहीं बने तो transcription જે fail જશે, that is मतलब કે થશે પણ એમાંથી protein જ નહીં બને. The gene is silenced. If the gene is not expressed, it is silenced. The source of this complementary RNA could be from, you can also take this RNA from the DNA of the certain viruses, okay, like, or from the mobile genetic elements. Now see, this is also MCQ, that the mobile genetic elements are termed as transposons. Transposons are also referred as jumping genes. These are found in maize and some of the viruses. So this nucleotide sequence can change its location. Transposon એવા nucleotide sequence છે DNA કે પોતાની જગ્યા genome માં change કરી શકે. So we refer to them as transposons or jumping genes. First found in maize, then viruses also. So you can use some of the viruses which has such transposons, or you can use some of the viruses having RNA genome to make this complementary RNA. So what was done by using Agrobacterium vector, the specific gene. So see, if you want to produce a complementary RNA, then you have to insert the genes of that nematode only, which can be complemented to mRNA. So a Maliodigine na genes તમારે insert કરો આપણે તો જ complementary RNA બને. The introduction was such that it formed sense and antisense RNA, and two RNAs are complementary, and they form double-stranded RNA, which will form the. So as I told you that if you, because of this two, gene 1 and 2, it will form two RNA, which will be complementary. So they will form the double-stranded RNA. And from this, they can silence the mRNA of specific nematode, or what we call as this Maliodigene incognitia. So the parasite cannot survive, okay, and it is protected. So see over here, they have shown you this is the root of a infected. This is what happens by Maliodigene infection, and this is the normal after these in this transgenic plant, okay. After the infection of it was infected with nematode, but then it has a these RNA interfering genes were there. So it is you can see that it is protected. It is normal. Within 5 days, it is protected. And as soon as when this nematode will try to eat this cells of it will they try to eat this root part, this mRNA will go into its gut when it will eat, and then it will join to its mRNA, and then it will be silenced. Double-stranded RNA, it will go through it when it will try to consume this plant. This is RNA interference, right? Got it?
Yes, sir.
Now do one thing, it is usually complex, so take 5 minutes and read this entire part, this RNA interference. કેમ કે આ અત્યારે આવડશે પછી ભૂલાઈ જાય છે. Okay, almost કેમ કે આ topic maximum લોકોને issue તો તારી પાસે textbook હશે. So just go through that and then we can start again with the next topic. So કોઈ issue હોય તો I can address it. Okay, beta?
Okay, sir. Sir,
Okay, right. So any problems, Emma?
no, sir.
Okay. So we'll go further and we'll start with the applications in the medicine. Okay, so the main use is in the medicine application. Even all these COVID medicines are made by using these biotechnological aspects. Huh? Even vaccines are also being manufactured by using this. So there are such 30 recombinant therapeutics or medicines are there. In India, 12 of these are mainly. It is more than that. It's an old number, but you should know about this because MCQ they can ask this. The first and foremost important is insulin. Okay, so insulin is a hormone and it is very much useful for diabetic patients, especially with the people who suffer from diabetes mellitus. Okay, type 1, type 2. So earlier, this was all chemical medicines. Now the insulin which has been used, it is mainly biotechnologically manufactured. It is what we refer as manufactured in biopharma. It is mainly made in a E. coli by transferring the gene which codes for insulin into the E. coli genome. Okay. So earlier it was isolated from the mammals like these pigs and all. Okay, from their pancreas, but it has side effects. Okay, so now that has been made in the bacteria. And nowadays, medicines has been also manufactured. So the first such genetic engineered insulin, okay, was made inside the E. coli. It was named as Humulin. Okay, so earlier it was isolated from the pancreas of slaughtered cattle and pigs. Okay, but it was causing allergy and it was reactive. Okay, as you know, insulin has basically 3 polypeptide chain. Okay, just structure my, if you see, it has 3 polypeptide chain. This is one. Okay, if you see, this is A, this is B, and this one is C. In the mature form only there will be two, that is A and B. C is removed. So when insulin is manufactured before the post-translational modification, it has mainly 3 chains, as you can see. But in the active form, it is only 2 chains. It is linked by it is linked by disulfide. These are disulfide bonds. 1, 2, and 3, if you can see. There are total 6 sulfur-containing amino acids are there. There is total 6 sulfur containing amino acids are there. And disulfide bonds are how many? 3, as you can see, 1, 2, and 3 between 2 chains. So in mammals, it is mainly in our body. Naturally, it is synthesized as a pro-hormone, which is like this, which contains C-peptide. But to become mature, it is C-peptide is removed. A functional form માં C-peptide નથી, પણ જ્યારે બનશે ત્યારે C હશે. Remember that. And the main challenge, okay, was to basically form this mature peptide. So what they did was this Eli Lilly company, okay, they prepared 2 DNA sequences. એક આ જીન ને એક આનો sequence, okay, આના પરથી આ peptide ને આ peptide માં. It was put in the E. coli plasmid, and then these two A and B were produced separately. A and B were produced separately, and then they were joined by forming disulfide bonds. So this was the first such instance, and this insulin was referred as Humulin. It was done in E. coli. Okay, E. coli was used as a host organism to manufacture this, and this was done as a Humulin. It was called as a Humulin. Human insulin per Humulin. Okay. તે લોકોએ શું કર્યું કે A ને B ના સેપરેટ જીન્સ લઈ કોડ કરી E. coli માં ટ્રાન્સફર કરી અને પછી એમાંથી જેને બંનેને કમ્બાઈન કરી દીધા. So what they did was they took this E. coli, they took the gene for A peptide and for B. Then they manufactured A and B separately, and then they joined them. Okay, so insulin also very important. One more thing. If we talk about the A and B peptide structure of insulin, do you know how many amino acids are there, Rahil? This question has also been asked.
30.
30 and એને બી બંનેના અલગ હશે ને? બેટા ખ્યાલ છે? This MCQ was asked. 30 is in, let's say, one. This B, this is, there are two chains, no? So see, A will have 21 and B will have 30. So the total 50. Shall I have beta?
Yes, sir.
This is MCQ which has been asked. Then next is gene therapy. Okay. So gene therapy is basically we talk about pedigree and we talked about genetic disorders. So the genetic disorders જે છે એ કેસમાં what can be done? So in that case gene therapy can be done. Okay. So let me just explain some of the things and then we can take from textbook. So basically gene therapies recently also it has been widely used. So Emma, what we can do is as such that there is okay, we take it can be done in two ways, ex vivo, in vivo. Vivo no meaning kya hai beta, or in vivo as you call it? This is inside
No,
living
sir.
it is inside living organism. Vitro means in laboratory. Vitro means laboratory. Vivo means in living organism. Ex vivo means outside living organism. So it can be done in two ways. So if let's say there was a sickle cell anemia gene, or let's say there is the muscular dystrophy gene is defective, then you can transfer this gene, normal gene, and replace it. So how it should be done? So over here, in the case of the ex vivo, normally the cells from bone marrow, okay, are removed, and then they are grown in laboratory. Okay. Now the desired gene is in laboratory. In this cells, desired gene is transferred. Okay, that is, let's say normal gene is transferred, and then this is again injected back into the human body. Like human માંથી normal genes કાઢવાના, પછી એમાંથી તમે desired gene transfer કરીને you can transfer it back. This can be done in the case of lymphocytes. If it is some problem is related to lymphocytes, then this can be done. Okay. Over here, the vectors are used to deliver normal gene in the patient's body only. Lab body માં થશે patients ના. Normally it is done in early embryonic stages. It is done in early embryonic stages. તો જે effective રહેશે. Okay. You just transfer in this gene therapy, you defective gene ની બદલે you transfer a normal gene. Okay. Also it can be classified as somatic and germline. So if it is done in the somatic cells of the body, normal body cells, if it is done in the gametes, it is germline gene therapy. You can, this in vivo is also referred as, ex vivo is also referred as in vitro, laboratory માં થશે. So bone marrow માંથી તમે lymphocytes ની કોઈ defective gene હશે તેમાં you can transfer and then you can again push it back. In vivo it is only specific diseases, in certain cases it can be done, and generally early embryonic stages માં જો હોય કેમ કે it is stem cells, so in that case it can be done. Those were not differentiated cells like the astromeres and all. So broadly gene therapy આ બે રીતે થશે. Now we will talk about textbook. હવે તને આમાં કઈ problem હોય તો કે, otherwise we'll move on to textbook part.
No, sir.
Okay. Textbook માં છે ને clear નથી, so you should know these two types. Okay, then we can go on further. Now see, basically in gene therapy, what we do, that you correct a genetic defect, okay, and genes are inserted in person's cells or tissues to treat the disease. Okay, so it is to compensate for the non-functional gene or the defective genes. Okay, that we should know. Now the first case was given, gene therapy was in ADA deficiency. ADA deficiency is a disorder થાય ને બેટા, એને SCID કહેવાય. The person has adenosine deaminase deficiency. It is responsible for immunity, and this disorder is SCID. SCID નું full form ખ્યાલ છે રાહુલ? It is
No, sir.
severe combined immunodeficiency syndrome. So severe combined immunodeficiency syndrome. Okay, એટલે SCID is like just like a HIV AIDS. Okay, એટલે એના જેવો જ symptoms હશે. But આના માટે reason is ADA deficiency is also another MCQ. એમાં immune system સરખી function નહીં કરે. Okay, એટલે it is also a disorder of immune system. So there is deletion mutation. We talked about the gene is removed. Okay, so it can be cured either by bone marrow transplantation, because ultimately it plays role by functioning with lymphocytes, which are the main soldiers of our body. So એમાં તમે શું કરી શકો, either to treat it, તમે enzyme નવો inject કર્યા રાખો. You can keep on replacing the enzyme. So you give the functional ADA to the patient. પણ બેટા એવું કરીએ તો શું થાય કે દર અમુક ટાઈમે ઇન્જેક્શન આપવા પડે ને બોન મેરોમાં, and it is very painful to inject in bone marrow. Okay, so it is not completely normal that you have to curable, that is you have to always keep on injecting this. Okay, so in gene therapy earlier what was done, the ex vivo jo beta આ વાત થાય છે ex vivo. You take the lymphocytes from the blood of a patient, you grow it in laboratory, and you add the functional cDNA using a retroviral vector. See, animal cells માટે unharmed retrovirus is used થાય ને, આમાં cDNA કેમ લખ્યું રાહુલ? Why the cDNA is transferred through a vector? What's the reason? એમાં cDNA માં બેટા there will be no introns, no? As a retroviruses have reverse transcriptase, so this cDNA is transferred, is complementary to mRNA. એટલે આમાં કોઈ intron નહીં હોય. એટલે as you know in eukaryote you need to process the splicing. The splicing ની જરૂરત નહીં પડે. So this cDNA can directly form the functional enzyme. એટલા માટે this cDNA has been used. Okay, is introduced in lymphocytes, and then again it is returned back to the patient's body by injecting them. But આમાં problem શું છે કે you have to do it periodically. There is periodic infusion of such lymphocytes is required. Okay, so if it has been done in vivo at early embryonic stages, it can be a permanent cure. It can be a permanent cure. So this is in vivo case. The first case was ex vivo. ખ્યાલ આવ્યો બેટા? Rahi, did you got this or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's why I explained ex vivo in vivo. So over here they explain both the conditions in ADA deficiency. So you should know what disease is caused, what is like in the first case ex vivo cDNA is used. Okay, what vectors are used, unharmed retroviruses are used. Okay, so this is all about the three very important things: BT cotton, RNA interference, human insulin till now. Okay, and then this gene therapy part. Now we are moving on to the informative part. So in this case, now this can also be used in diagnosis. Okay, so for diagnosis, rDNA technology, PCR, as we use in corona case and also viral infections, and ELISA can be used. ELISA is commonly used in the detection of the HIV infection. Okay, so if let's say there is viral infection and there is no symptoms, okay, let's say in the case of the COVID there are virus infection but there are no symptoms, then how will you know whether the person has infection or not? In that case PCR can be used. So the minute amount of DNA can also be detected by using such techniques. Okay, so for early diagnosis, this can be used because if once it reaches a very high amount, then it is difficult to treat it because of symptoms. So you can detect it prior to the symptoms. That's why RT-PCR is used in COVID cases. So this PCR can even detect the minute amount of the viral DNA by amplifying it or by increasing its number of copies. So this is also used in the case of HIV PCR. Okay, also used to detect mutations in the genes in the cancer patients, and it is also used to identify many genetic disorders. Then there is this probe, okay, that is single-stranded DNA RNA. We talked about this probe in the DNA fingerprinting. So you attach a radioactive compound and you allow it to hybridize with the complementary DNA. Okay, so there is complementary DNA. Then this probe is also complementary to this DNA. So there is radioactive compound is added. So this can join with this DNA. And it can be detected by autoradiography. We have discussed this in detail in DNA fingerprinting. And where the places where it will join, okay, you will get an idea. So if there is any mutated gene, okay, it will not be joined. The probe will not be able to join to it. It's a normal complementary gene. If the probe will be joined, and you can get a radiation or the pattern on the photographic plate. So the defective gene can be known. ELISA works on principle of antigen antibody reaction. So you have this ELISA plate on which, let's say, you have a blood sample of a HIV patient. Now you add preformed antibodies to it. Okay. So this antibody will join to this if there is this antigen. And then it will give some color. That is, it is bound to colorful substrate. Okay, so you can detect the presence of antigen by this antigen antibody reaction through the ELISA also. Got it? So this is some application in diagnostics, that is ELISA, PCR. Okay. So you should know in diagnostics, either ELISA can be used or PCR is normally used. Okay, PCR is normally used for HIV, AIDS, or other viral infections. They may also ask the question, okay, during COVID testing, what technique is used? Answer is PCR. General knowledge questions ઘણી વાર પૂછે છે, like World Environment Day and all those things. You have to be prepared. DNA probes can be used to check out whether the gene is normal or not. So any issues in this, right?
No, sir.
It is important, huh? Especially ELISA and PCR. Okay, the next is about transgenic animals. Okay, so in that case, what happens that usually they have a in the DNA, if you manipulate and if you transfer your desired DNA in animals, you get transgenic animals. Transgenic is something which contains extra gene or foreign gene. For the case of the plants, okay, it can be termed as transgenic plants. Okay, so we have produced rats, rabbits, pigs, sheep, cows, all of this transgenic has been produced. But the majority are mice because the favorite lab animal is mice. So normally this is mice is a mammal and the usual experiments are done on mice. Okay. So we have first is normal physiology and development. Okay, then so this can be designed to allow the study of how genes are regulated and how they affect the normal functions of the body and all. So to study the normal physiological and developmental processes of certain growth factor and all. Okay, so then in that case, this can be used like study of complex factors in growth, like insulin like growth factors. Okay, so you can introduce genes in organism and then you can silence it, or you can study the effects that what will happen if this growth factor is not there. Okay, so you can use it to study normal physiological processes, or what we call a study of growth factors. So a lot of this in our body, a lot of these blood cells and all, they have this growth factor. Without this, they will not be able to grow and they'll not be able to perform their function. So that can be studied by using these biotechnology based techniques or by transgenic animals. Okay, this is study. Okay, that how this genes is responsible for disease. So if you remove a gene from some organism and then you can study what effect had been seen. Okay, like it has been termed as a knocked out technology. કોઈ જીન જે છે એનાથી કોઈ ડિસીઝ થતું એ જીન રિમૂવ કરી લો અને પછી તમે એની ઇફેક્ટ સ્ટડી કરો માઇસમાં ને એમાં. Okay, so it can serve as models for human diseases. And knocked out gene technology कहिए. Okay, so there are so many transgenic models for human diseases like cancer, cystic fibrosis, and all of this. Then there are medicines are required to treat certain human diseases. Okay, like this animals can use to produce such medicines. So what you do is you introduce this DNA or genes in the animals, and then you get the particular product. That is, we have, for example, this is very important, right? Alpha-1 antitrypsin, it can be used to treat emphysema. Emphysema is a respiratory disorder, if you know. Similarly, to treat phenylketonuria, okay, and cystic fibrosis, you can use certain such enzymes like phenylalanine hydroxylase and all. The first transgenic cow called Rosie, okay, was produced, and it was producing human protein enriched milk, which can be used as a so this Rosie was producing human protein enriched milk. Okay, it contained human alpha lactalbumin. It contained human alpha lactalbumin, and it can be used as substitute for human babies. Okay, uh, so and it is better than a natural cow milk. So this is also a Rosie question has also been frequently asked. Okay, so from this, the Rosie milk contained human alpha lactalbumin. It is also very important. Okay, Sama antitrypsin and this one, this sentence is, this part is highly important for question. Got it, beta?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then in the case of vaccine safety, if you are like vaccine trials and all, so always all these things are first tried on animals, okay, like mice, and then they are tried on the mammals like primates, like monkeys, and then they are tried on humans. Directly, they are not tried on humans. So transgenic mice can be used, okay, to check out the vaccine safety trials, and the results can be analyzed. What harmful effects it will have. So ultimately, they are mainly mammals. So the mice was used to check out the safety of polio vaccine also. If it is reliable, then it can be tested on monkeys and then onto the humans, as I have told you. So first is normally mice, then it is tested on monkey, and then on the humans. That is the trial, vaccine trial. Okay, I'm gonna use Masambartis. This is how the trials will proceed. Okay. So we refer to this as toxicity or safety. So there are some chemical compounds that can be toxic. Okay. So to check out for the toxicity of drugs, even, okay, these transgenic animals can be used. Okay, so they have certain genes which can make them more sensitive. So these genes are added in them. So it can make more sensitive to toxic compounds, okay, in normal animals. And then the study effects are studied. So what harmful effects it has. Okay, so for safety checking of certain chemicals and exposure, this can be used. These 4 points are very important. Now, there's ethical issues, beta. It is basically you can read it, you'll get an idea. But in this, remember this full form, because these genetically modified organisms are also not all, they can also have some of the harmful effects on the environment, on ecosystem, on us. So how long it is safe? So there must be some rules, some legal provisions, okay, for it. So in India also we have GESC. We have to take approval. You cannot launch any of the genetically modified product directly in the market because its harmful effects can be studied. Okay, then only you can do it. So you can read it, you get an idea. A થોડું story જેવું જ છે. Then about rice, you should know there are so many, this much varieties in India, 2 lakh varieties. Okay, basmati we all know this much varieties. Okay, but what now what is happening that in as with advent of this biotechnology, American companies are taking rights for this, and then they will say that nobody else can sell this. હમણાં recently ખ્યાલ હોય તો Lay's જે wafers આવે છે, okay, potato wafers chips, એનો બી ઇશ્યુ થયો હતો with બનાસકાંઠાના farmers સાથે. Lays were claiming that they cannot sell this potato variety which they are going to other companies, okay, because they have patent over it. તો એ લોકો ઇન્ટેલેક્ચ્યુઅલ પ્રોપર્ટી રાઇટ્સ ક્લેમ કરે, લીગલ ઇશ્યુઝ થાય, તો જે મોટી કંપનીઝ હોય એને બેનિફિટ થાય, નાના લોકોને પ્રોબ્લેમ થાય. બટ અહીંયા તો આપણે બાસમતી વર્ષોથી વાવીએ છીએ. ઓકે, સો બેઝિકલી ઇન્ડિયા હેઝ સો મેની સચ, લાઈક કોઈ પણ કન્ટ્રીમાં સચ ટ્રેડિશનલ થિંગ્સ વિલ બી ધેર. તો એના પર જો કોઈ પેટન્ટ લે તો ઇટ વિલ બી ડિફિકલ્ટ ફોર ધીસ પુઅર કન્ટ્રીઝ લાઈક અસ. Okay, then the US companies are also trying to take patents for turmeric and neem. Okay, so if so, then nobody else will be able to sell those products other than them. Next is biopiracy. So biopiracy is basically what I told you, the use of bioresources by multinational companies, okay, without authorization from the local people. So for example, if the American companies are selling neem-based products and they are making, or they are claiming the patents on it, then in India, in our culture, those people who have been using this neem-based products since centuries will not get any benefit, and only the companies will get richer. તો અહીંયાના લોકોને લોસ થશે. એટલા માટે this entire thing કે જે મોટી મોટી કંપનીઝ જે છે મલ્ટીનેશનલ્સ, એ આવી રીતના લીગલ ક્લેમ કરી અને પેટન્ટ જે છે લઈ લે, ઓકે, અને લોકલ લોકોને કોઈ બેનિફિટ ના થાય તો એને બાયોપાયરસી કહેવાય. there must be some rules કે લોકલ લોકોને કોઈ ફાઇનાન્શિયલ બેનિફિટ મળવો જોઈએ. કેમ કે શું છે કે most of the industrialized nations are financially rich but poor in biodiversity and traditional knowledge, and they can exploit it, especially like even it happened in South American countries like Brazil and all. અને ઇન્ડિયામાં બી આ ટર્મરિકના કેસમાં ને થાય છે. ઓકે, સો એનો એ લોકો એક્સપ્લોટેશન કરે તો લોકલ લોકોને લોસ થશે. That's why Indian government has made an Indian patents bill, and it takes such issues in consideration. So this part my biopiracy definition. Okay, then we have this basmati rice issue, GESA full form. Okay, that morality issues and ethical and legal issues you need to this permission. Okay, so this is where we end this chapter, Rahim. Okay, problem હોય તો બોલ બેટા.